Antiochus Epiphanes occupies a significant place in both world history and the Bible, serving as a precursor to the anticipated arrival of a figure known as the Antichrist. Emerging around 175 BC, Antiochus initially portrayed himself as a man of peace, captivating the public with his eloquence and flattery. His cunning approach led the people to accept him not only as the rightful king of Syria but also of Israel, as prophesied in Daniel 11 verse 21 to 22. In the Old Testament, the Prince of the Covenant refers to the high priest in Jerusalem, while in the New Testament, the Prince of the Covenant is Jesus. Ananias was the legitimate high priest, a Jewish high priest. Antiochus Epiphanes brutally threw him out and exalted an apostate, a false priest, a man called Menelaus. The Jews started being suspicious. He took over the fat lands of Israel, Edom, Moab, all Palestine up to Syria as prophesied. He shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the province. And he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil, and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. Daniel 11 verse 24. He came down to invade Egypt with a great army, and the old rivalry between Egypt and Syria was renewed, as was said. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Daniel 11 verse 25. Antiochus Epiphanes tricked some leaders of the south to turn against their king, and Ptolemy was betrayed as prophesied. Yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow. And many shall fall down slain. Daniel 11 verse 26. Antiochus then came down to Egypt to sign a peace treaty. The two leaders, Antiochus and Ptolemy, lied in the signing of the treaty as prophesied. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper. For yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Daniel 11 verse 27. Antiochus secretly devised the destruction of the Old Covenant, intending to replace it with pagan Hellenistic, hedonistic culture and religion as prophesied. His heart shall be against the covenant. Daniel 11 verse 28. Feeling that he has the situation well with the Egyptians after signing the treaty, he decided to conquer Egypt once again, but the ships of Chittim, which is Cyprus, came down against him as prophesied. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Daniel 11 verse 30. Ships of Chittim were Roman Empire soldiers stationed in Cyprus. The Roman soldiers stopped Antiochus from attacking Egypt, and in his anger and frustrations he turned back to Jerusalem to avenge his anger on the Jews as prophesied. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenants. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. On arriving in Jerusalem, that night many Jews were slaughtered. He went into the temple, took away the daily sacrifice, set up an image, and demanded every person to worship it. He slaughtered a pig inside the temple, and the priests were forced to drink the pig blood. This is the abomination that makes the temple desolate. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that makes desolate. Daniel 11 verse 31. Antiochus sent Apollonius with 22,000 soldiers to pollute Jerusalem and the temple. Thus it is said, arms shall stand on his part. Daniel 11 verse 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. The Jews became devastated by this massacre and abomination. One Jewish priest, Maccabean, refused to blaspheme God, and Antiochus Epiphanes killed him. The 5 sons of Maccabean, led by Judas Maccabean, began to merge a guerrilla war on the Antiochus and his armies, reason it is said, but the people that do know their God shall be strong. Daniel 11 verse 32. Miraculous other Jews started joining the Maccabean family, and the Maccabean Revolt took place. Antiochus Epiphanes and his armies were drawn out of Jerusalem. When Judas Maccabean and his brothers come into the temple, they found oil to last the candles lit for one day. It took 8 days to make and sanctify the oil. They prayed, and miraculously the oil lasted 8 days. Reason the Jews celebrate Hanukkah on 25th December for 8 days. The Jews do not celebrate Christmas as other people of the world do, but they celebrate Hanukkah. Then the gap of Daniel's 70 weeks comes in at this point. The gap, as you have seen in the 70 weeks of Daniel, is the church age. Angel Gabriel then goes on to define Antichrist character in his 1 week 7 years reign from Daniel 11 verse 36 onwards.